Hi, welcome to my tutorial on one of the new items added in Tegra 3.1.1 update, the Retrievulator. Now first off I'm just going to give you a rundown on how to craft one and what the different inputs mean. Now the recipe for the Retrievulator is a bit annoying to make. It requires a regulator and transposer. A transposer is easy enough to make. It's a piston, some cobblestone, wooden planks and redstone. The regulator on the other hand is made from buffers, brass, red dot wafer, wood and an ion detector. Buffers themselves are made from wooden planks and iron bars, and ion detectors are made from pneumatic pipes, brass tubes, red dot wafers, pressure plates and wooden planks. So there's a lot of items that go into making one of these, but they are very worth it in the end. Now this is a standard setup for the Retrievulator, where you have a Retrievulator hooked up to an inventory, and then on the other side of that you have a retriever, and the retriever can have any length of cable going to a chest. So now the inputs of the Retrievulator have R and T. So what these mean is that if there is less than what is in the T section, it'll start requesting it from the OR section. So if we put 8 of that in there and put 1 of that in there, if there's less than 1 white insulated wire, it'll start requesting the white insulated wire using the retriever. Now the retriever requires power, but the Retrievulator does not, and the Retrievulator will also give a pulse. Now if we put these in here, these should get pulled out and put into the chest, and there we go, it pulled out the 8 that it said it would because there was less than 1 and put it into the chest. Now if we dump a load of that in there, come back over here and take this 8 out, the Retrievulator will pull another 8 back in. And that's the most basic setup. It'll check to see if there's less than that amount, and if there is less than that amount, it'll start pulling the other amount. Okay, and it will apply its own pulse, and you cannot set them up like this. You cannot put a Retrievulator something like that, because this Retrievulator on the right hand side will actually activate a constant redstone pulse whenever it's full, and in turn stop this one from working, stop this retriever from working. So let's do a slightly more advanced setup where we're going to craft some cookies. In these two chests we have the cocoa beans and we have wheat. Now this Retrievulator is empty at the moment, but we'll start putting some stuff in. So I'm going to grab 2 stacks of wheat and 2 stacks of cocoa beans. So now what we want to do is, if there's less than 64 in there, we'll say, we will draw and put 64 into the chest. So here comes the cocoa beans. You can see the tick rate is very high, and they just bounce back into the chest whenever there's no room for them. So now inside the auto crafting table here we have 64 cocoa beans. Now we need wheat, so do the same thing with wheat. I generally, well, you're better off filling the OR side first and then filling the T side. So it'll start requesting wheat now. Now I'll give you a solution to dealing with the bouncing of the wheat into the wrong chest later on. So now the auto crafting table has cocoa beans and wheat. So we put the wheat there, and because I lifted up the wheat, it started requesting more wheat. It'll do the same with the cocoa beans now, and I'm after doing the wrong recipe there for them. And there we go, cookies. So this will keep pulling in wheat and cocoa beans to make cookies. And this retriever here is what we will use to store the cookies in the output. And this is currently turned off. So what we're going to do is grab these 8 cookies, put them into this retriever, and turn on this timer. And now every pulse of this timer, it will start pulling out 8 cookies. I'm going to turn this timer down really low. I wouldn't recommend it on a live server because 0.2 seconds interval is very harmful for a multiplayer server. It causes a lot of lag. So you can see a lot of cookies coming out there, filling up this chest. And when we get below 64 wheat, it keeps pulling in 64 more wheat. Now I'm going to turn down this timer and give you a solution to the bouncing of the items back into the chest. Okay, so here's my solution to the problem where the wheat starts going into the wrong chest, or the cocoa beans start going into the wrong chest if they're being retrieved, and on the way to being retrieved they're not needed anymore. We're going to put just a little slight stopper chest there, so that is now the closest chest that the wheat and cocoa beans will go into, and it's also the closest chest that they'll be retrieved from. So if you can imagine, in a normal setup you might have a factory where this is all hidden behind a wall and you can only see your input and output chest, and whenever the wheat gets I'm just going to take some cocoa beans out there so they get requested. Okay, so the cocoa beans get pulled in, and then the closest place for them to go is up there, and when they're needed again, the closest place for them to be pulled from will also be there. So you don't have to worry about these getting clogged up with the wrong items, and you also don't have to worry about stuff getting stuck in here, because this will be the first place that it will be requested from when it's needed. Now, just to give you a final look at everything that's required in this setup, you have your 2 input chests, pneumatic pipe, going into the retriever with a buffer chest, say halfway along the distance of the pipe. You have your power for your retrievers. Okay, this retriever here does not require a pulse because the pulse is applied by this Retrievulator, which has 1 stack of cocoa beans, 1 stack of wheat, which will be retrieved, and 1 stack of cocoa beans and 1 stack of wheat, which is required in the auto crafting table. So you have your auto crafting table with your wheat and cocoa beans, and then the recipe for the cookie, and then you have your other retriever over here with the cookie, the 8 cookies, and then all the cookies are being pulled in here, and this one does require a timer. And here is an example of the Retrievulator being used in a live setup, where you have your retriever feeding into your Retrievulator, feeding into your auto crafting table, and I find the easiest way to set them up is to have 1 low and then 1 higher up, and then 1 lower down and then 1 higher up. That way they don't interfere with each other. And you can simply pull the items out of the chest using more retrievers, which are hooked up to your chests, and the bottom of those chests feed back into the input of these retrievers. I hope you enjoyed watching my tutorial. If you have any questions, please leave a comment, and if you are interested in watching more tutorials on machines, please subscribe.